Let's bring in David Webb. He's a friend of the show and been watching what's going on out there. Is it a racial thing?
No, it's not. What we have is a criminal with a gun who goes up against a police officer, doesn't follow a lawful order. But and you brought this up in the break or while Rich was doing his package. This is not black. This is a black cop, a black man. So now the narrative is going to be cops killing blacks. If it was a white cop, it would be white cops killing blacks. So it's not about the facts. It's not about what matters. It's not about the fact that there was a cop shot and killed in New Mexico, cop shot and killed in Georgia doing his job. And I think that's 36 police officers now killed in the line of duty. And when you look at the predominant amount of incidents, it's with blacks. Look, the crime issue in the black community has to be dealt with. And rather, we have the Black Lives Matter movement endorsed by Obama, endorsed by Clinton, by the DNC, by Debbie Wasserman Schultz, by the Congressional Black Caucus.
It's now gone international.
It's gone international. They're having Black Lives Matter marches in Germany and in Manchester, in England.
Yeah,
Come on.
David, Seville Smith, the young man who was killed, let me read you his rap sheet. He has been arrested or ticketed 9 times for shooting, robbery, carrying a concealed weapon, theft, possession of heroin, and more. And now you have people in his community, protesters, who are targeting white people who are driving through the crowds. They're targeting their cars. Listen to what some of the people are saying. And the last soundbite on this is actually the sister of the guy who was shot.
If it was a racial thing.
No, it's not.
There's so much race involved in it.
This points to such a larger problem with the total destruction of the black family. This young woman is part of the problem. The fact that you have a family structure that doesn't exist anymore, or to the level where that they think that there was a time when you turned in the bad person in your family. You got somebody who was on heroin or dealing heroin, illegal weapons, stealing a gun, which apparently he did according to early reports. You've got somebody like that. You don't want him in your family. Now we have families backing them up. This is wrong. Wait till they rolled out the picture of him in high school. He was such a good kid. He was not a good kid. He was a criminal. And he didn't obey a lawful order, and now they're burning their own community, and destroying property.
And pointed a gun at another police officer.
Right.
What was the police officer supposed to do?
Well, okay, 2 dead cops, New Mexico and Georgia. What if this cop didn't do what he did? Would he be number 3?
We don't know, and we do know this. There is video. The governor's anxious to get the video out. The mayor in his press conference yesterday, anxious to get the video out. You do point to a different problem, that cops are actually becoming the disciplinarians for families in the inner city communities.
Yeah.
So you're never a good guy, even if you're the best dad in the world, when you're providing discipline to your family, because in the long run, you look out for the greater good. But then when cops come in there and they're refereeing domestic disputes and providing, they're providing the type of enforcement that's not coming at home.
No, it's not only not coming at home, it is actually the bad behavior in some homes, not all, is being reinforced. Look, we've said this enough times. The black community is not one monolithic block. They don't all think alike. I know there are many people in America who happen to be black who hate this kind of behavior. It puts them on edge just as much, whether they're in an urban environment, suburban environment, and this has become much larger than race. This is a narrative of breaking down the culture, of breaking down law and order by the leftists, the Black Lives Matter crowd, the Soros crowd. Obama's endorsed them. Think about who their endorsees are. Obama, the Democrats. The Democrat Party was going to do a forum during the primary season. They've given them the voice and the platform. And the community, by the way, they pay the price.
Right.
Those burned out buildings, they're not going to be rebuilt.
Absolutely.
Not the way they should be. They're going to be probably destroyed forever, some of them.
It takes a while. I read in, I think, the Milwaukee newspaper this morning that one of the places it was burned out, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, 10 employees out of work there, so they've tried to move them to other locations in the area just so they don't lose the hours.
But that doesn't have the people who need the work.
Absolutely
Look,
not.
In Ferguson, one business just reopened 2 months ago, finally. since August of 2014.
All right, let's change gears and talk about something you always talk about on the radio, and let's talk a little bit of politics. As we know, there's been a lot of pressure on the Trump campaign to get on message and to focus on Hillary Clinton's problems with her background and her tenure as Secretary of State. Paul Manafort pushed back against a New York Times story yesterday that said they're fracturing on the inside and they're frustrated with the candidate who seems sullen. That these are unnamed anonymous sources. Here's Manafort yesterday blaming the media.
She laid out a program which, frankly, is exactly what this administration is doing: raising taxes, raising spending, increasing the national debt. And there was a debate that could have been had there. Instead, the media chose to take the Clinton campaign narrative and go on attack on Donald Trump. Donald Trump, in the course of this week, was very substantive. When he visited a number of battleground states, you didn't cover it. Contrary to your report and contrary to the New York Times nameless sources story, the campaign is moving to get forward and is very strong.
Donald Trump is right, though. Most of the media want him to lose, but they wanted both the Bushes and Reagan to lose, too.
This is not news. Look, I gave a speech this week in Spokane, actually in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, to the Spokane Republicans, and somebody asked the question during Q&A, what would you do if you had 30 minutes with Trump? I'd pull Manafort in there. I'd pull a few of his other advisors in there, and I'd ask them why they're not staying on message. Look, I get it. It's nice to point at the media. In the next 90 days, the media is not going to change. But when you give a great speech on the economy and you don't reinforce that with day after day of talking about the economy and then go on to your next policy point or the things that got you the primary wins and you get off message, thank you for telling us and reminding us that the New York Times, but I'm a little pissed off at Donald Trump, as a matter of fact, because he's better than this and he needs to be a better candidate to win.
He says he is staying on message and the media is just spinning it.
The media is not your target. They're not in the ring with you. Hillary Clinton's the one in the ring. Think in boxing terms. Hillary Clinton is your opponent.
So what does he need to do in Milwaukee? You know, he's going to Milwaukee. This was a pre-planned event. He's going to Milwaukee. He's going to have a town hall with Hannity tomorrow. What does he need to be saying there?
Okay, so he talked in the convention about being the law and order president. Talk about why law and order matters, as Brian just pointed out, to the community, why it matters to the American culture, and what it really means to have a true law and order society. Here's a moment, by the way, when he can focus that message and have it magnified by the horrible events playing out in Milwaukee. And he's got Sheriff David Clark there, who's trying his best, along with Governor Walker, to bring some calm to that community, but do it by law and with law and order. By the way, also talk about the economies, the failed economies in inner city environments and the black community and other economically disparate communities.
And maybe run an ad, just any ad.
Yeah.
All right.
Abby Huntsman, thanks so much,
Thank
David.
you very much.